Good morning. I was in Dubai recently where I met one of my wife's cousins. That sounded wrong. Not one of my wives, but one of her cousins. Just to be clear, I'm good with just the one wife. Anyway, this cousin of my one wife was telling me about the work he was doing with bioengineering. When I started discussing the topic with him, he looked a bit bemused and told me that not many people engage him in a conversation about his work. In fact, most conversations end as soon as he says the word bioengineering. This sounded a bit strange to me because everybody has an opinion on what I do. I work in education, and I think education is a bit like politics in that respect. Everybody has an opinion on what the problems are. My one wife, Parvati, also works in education, and I was talking to her about this. We realized that the reason everybody knows the problems about education is that everyone we met has gone to school. Think about that for a second. The reason everyone has an opinion on education is because everyone has gone to school. This must mean that everyone has had a less than ideal education in school. I've been in the edtech industry in the US and in India for almost a decade now. Seeing the great work that small startups are doing, I recently started advising them on what they could do better and how they could solve their problems. Whenever I talk to the leaders of these edtech companies, I ask them what are the problems that they struggle with. Interestingly, they have almost all told me the same thing: lack of high quality internet, low uh, device capabilities, distrust of technology, and so on. If you think about it, what are they really saying? If we had great devices with great internet connectivity in the hands of every single child in India, would we have really solved the problems of education in India? No, it sounds a bit absurd, doesn't it? The purpose of any organization, company, in any industry is to offer solutions to the people's problems. Education didn't have these problems of internet penetration and devices before education technology came along. And speaking on behalf of education, thank you very much, but I think education already has enough problems without edtech adding to it. The Indian government in 2011 neatly categorized the problems that they see in education as the three E's: equity, expansion, and excellence. Equity meaning that everyone should have access to education who were otherwise left out because of caste, creed, color, religion, and whatever else we thought of to divide people. Expansion meaning that that school should be able to accommodate everyone, and excellence meaning that they should have an excellent education in schools. I think this is rather right. These are the main problems in education. When Byju's gave tablets for free to their students with memory cards loaded with educational content, they weren't trying to solve device availability or internet penetration. What they were trying to do was expand the reach of excellent education equitably, or at least to those who could afford it. In trying to do so, they found a way around issues like device availability and internet penetration. It's very important to set the right problems to solve. I believe that Byju's became as successful as they are because they started by trying to solve the real problems in Indian education. When we talk about the three E's, Shashi Tharoor, a person I admire a lot, gave a talk about it, a TEDx talk, in fact, where he felt a fourth E was warranted. So he added a fourth E to this catechism, which was employability. Because I don't have any direct access to the man, I'd like to take this opportunity to disagree with him there. The purpose of education is to create citizens who add value to society. Employability is simply one of the measurable outcomes of an excellent education. However, I do agree with him that a fourth E is missing. I recently conducted a survey about what people loved most about their school days. The most unsurprising thing was that only 2 out of 40 people said that they enjoyed learning in class. And therein lies the missing piece, the fourth E of enjoyability. Today, there are millions of students across India studying in schools and being thoroughly bored. This is something that we must correct with the same urgency and focus with which we address equity, expansion, and excellence. Another big reason why Byju's and other edtech companies are so successful is that schools are not doing a great job at education. My brother and his wife, they have 2 kids, Pranav, who is 5, and Malavika, who's just a few months old now. Imagine our luck. The moment we first saw Pranav, we knew he was the best baby in the world. You might think otherwise, but you're wrong. When Malavika came along, we wondered whether they could achieve it twice in a row, but lo and behold, they did. As soon as I saw my niece, I knew that she was the best. If you need any proof, you can ask our mother, and she can confirm this for you. Anyway, I've watched Pranav grow, and while he is exceptional in many ways, he is no different from any other normal child in that he loves to learn new things. Children are natural learners. It is their most basic evolutionary function, which is why it's a great achievement of the education system to make them dislike it. You can see that government efforts like Right to Education and the plethora of schools opening up, that all the effort is going into equity and expansion, along with, of course, some efforts towards excellence in the form of the new education policy, for example, NEP 2020. However, there's no major school or education system that focuses on enjoyability with the same attention as it gives to other things like preparing for exams. If you don't fix the problem of enjoyability, then all you will do is bring more students into a system that will bore them too. The existing formula of education, where a teacher transmits information to a passively listening child, must be reimagined. We should create enjoyable learning experiences for children inside the classroom and outside of it. We often think that this is where EdTech will come in. However, technology in itself will not make education more enjoyable. A child will no more enjoy learning from a computer or a phone than from inside the classroom. The late, great Sir Ken Robinson once said that there is no education system in the world that is better than its teachers. I will add to it and say there is no edtech company out there either that is better than its learning designers, curriculum developers, and or its teachers. EdTech, as we see it today, leverages the internet, which allows us to access students across the world who have access to the internet. The internet can go a long way in solving equity and expansion, but it will not in itself solve excellence or enjoyability. But great teaching can. Enjoyability is more than about adding stickers and being rewarded with coins and gems you can redeem. Actually, do you know it's counterproductive to reward your children with such things when they learn? Think about it. It's like telling your child that they have to eat their vegetables in order to get their dessert. What they're actually doing over there is associating vegetables as something to be tolerated and associating dessert as something that is desirable. Enjoyment must not come after their lessons, but must be woven into the very fabric of each lesson. Let me give you an example of how we can do that. There's an edtech company in Bangalore that I advise called Apeppo. They teach children through tinkering. That's amazing, isn't it? Learning through tinkering. Children love to tinker, don't they? We've all seen them do it. A Beppo is able to do this for hundreds of students at a fractional cost because of the power of technology. Technology offers us a great opportunity to provide children with such enjoyable learning experiences at scale, inside the classroom and outside of it. However, it can do so only if it is supported by conscious planning and choices in the way we teach our children. You might have heard of this famous quote from Picasso: every child is born an artist. The problem is how to remain an artist once we grow up. Similarly, every child is born with a love of learning. The problem we must solve is how to ensure that they continue to love learning as they grow up. Thank you very much.